The Minnesota Vikings are absolute sleepers in the NFC North. Nobody is talking about this enough. The Minnesota Vikings are being, in my opinion, disrespected by the national media. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens this season for the Vikings and company, what happens in the NFC North. It could be one of the most competitive divisions in all of football, and the Vikings are definitely going to be in the conversation, a part of the picture. In this video today, we're going to be talking about Minnesota Vikings. We're talking about some new information that just came out that would suggest that Minnesota Vikings really are in the picture. We're going to talk about the whole conversation of the NFC North in as short as possible, I guess. And then as we go through all of that, I'm just going to encourage you, sports fans, huddle up, because I want to make sure you know we're going to be carrying you through the biggest news in sports every single day on this channel. So subscribe to all of it. The new information around the Minnesota Vikings is super interesting today. I can't wait to break it down with you. Let's get into it. Before we do that, though, I need to know this. And maybe as you watch this video, you might feel differently as we go along the way how this is going to finish up. I'm not going to ask you for win-loss records, but I am going to ask you to pick the order of the NFC North. What is the order of the NFC North? I think most people would pick in this order: Lions, Packers. Who's next? Who's next right there? I say that, I'm like, is it Vikings? Is it Bears? A lot of people would pick the Bears next. I think that's probably a little bit short-sighted, but we're going to get into it in today's video. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let me know in the comments, though, what order you would pick the NFC North right now. Do you have somebody upstaging the Lions? Are the Packers going to upstage the Lions? Are the Vikings the sleepers of the NFC North, as I think they are, in my opinion? The Bears, are they going to be a powerhouse, or are they going to be a disappointment? So much to talk about. It's going to be super interesting. Let's get into the news of the day, though. NFL executives, Jeremy Fowler did this report. I don't know if you caught this. Jeremy Fowler asked executives, scouts, and coaches about kind of best players in the league sort of deal. Top quarterbacks, whatever. One of them was top linemen, and the Minnesota Vikings, although, and I'm just going to read here what Tyler Forness has to say, the Minnesota Vikings don't get the respect they deserve as a team going into the 2024 season, but they do have some of the best players at the positions in the league. Of course, wide receiver Justin Jefferson being the number one wide receiver, or at least arguably the best wide receiver in the National Football League. The money would say he is the best. And they also have similar opinion on left tackle Christian Darrisaw. Christian Darrisaw was ranked overall number 6. Where is it? I don't see it on here, but I'm 100% sure. Yep, 6th best tackle among them right there. Okay, so this is a bunch of guys who know football. These guys know football. They know football like Ben knows how to set up an epic backdrop that I get to use when I'm in town with the buttery microphone and the beautiful camera that has a great bokeh effect behind me. I shouldn't say effect. It just is a great camera. Somehow Darrisaw hasn't made a Pro Bowl in his first 3 NFL seasons, but the talent is unquestionably of a Pro Bowl caliber. His 87.1 pass block win rate isn't stellar, but stats don't encapsulate Darrisaw's game. He passes the eye test. Excellent combination of strength, athleticism, and well-rounded production in both phases, an NFL personnel director said. The body control stands out. At an NFL personnel evaluator, he's a star. Has the most upside of maybe all of them. Wow, that is crazy when you think about it, but let's keep going, because this is where, as a 49ers fan, this one catches my eye. When you watch Darrisaw, there are shades of San Francisco 49ers, number 1 rated, 3 years running, by the way, left tackle Trent Williams. He buries defenders into the ground with consistency and has the athleticism to handle speed rushers on the outside. He will make things easy for J.J. McCarthy by protecting his blind side. Crazy, okay? So, we're not going to get into the Sam Darnold, J.J. McCarthy conversation today. We've already had that conversation on this channel. I really just wanted to share this news, but with it, it does bring up an important question. How much are the Minnesota Vikings going to be able to pull off this season? How well are they going to play? So I went through and I gathered all of the most important data around each of the 4 teams in the NFC North. And here's what I got. Let's start with the Minnesota Vikings. They, as we just mentioned, have the number 6 offensive tackle in the league. Just one player. We'll stick with that for just a second, okay? Their offensive line as a whole, not enough to write home about. However, then you start talking about their wide receiving core. Justin Jefferson, TJ, Jordan Addison, assuming he doesn't have any, get in any trouble and have any suspensions. Aaron Jones, of course, added, great pass-catching running back. They're middle of the pack in rushing. I think Jones will help. And then their top 10 linebacker core. So in terms of the stats coming from Pro Football Focus, they are good, not great. Good, not great. Now, if we look at some other teams in the division, we'll go, let's go talk about the Bears next. So the Bears have the number 4 wide receiving core, according to PFF. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, the rookie, will be an interesting one. Cole Kmet, okay, so there's some guys out there for sure. They have the number 11 rated offensive line, and then they're the number 3 linebacker core. That's going to help their defense. But that's pretty much the only notable unit group stat that helps out the Bears, okay? Now, you got TJ Edwards, had a great season last year. Tremaine Edmonds had a down year, but coming off of an amazing year for Buffalo the prior year. So, yeah, number 3 linebacker core is something to think about in the division. Going to play him twice. But the big question in Chicago, Caleb Williams, what's he going to do? And nobody knows, not even Caleb Williams. Nobody knows how he's going to handle the transition from college into the NFL. Everybody says he's going to handle it well, that he's the type to handle it well. And there's a reason the Bears thought long and hard and didn't have to think too long and hard to come up with Caleb Williams as their number 1 overall pick. So it will be interesting for sure to see how he handles it. And hopefully, for the long-term gain for the Chicago Bears, it's better than Andrew Luck, who is the last guy I can remember who had this kind of hype around him coming into the league. Okay, Packers. With this type of hype, I should say. But anyway, let's talk about the Packers. So the Green Bay Packers have a middle-of-the-pack wide receiver core. They have a lot of young talents emerging. They're number 6 in the running back room. A.J. Dillon, Josh Jacobs. They're number 11. So close to top 10. I only went up to 11. Once I went past 11, it was middle of the pack as far as I'm concerned. But close to a top 10 defensive line. Kind of top 3rd category there. And then a number 10, a top 10 secondary. So decent defense, well-rated defense, above average defense. And they have some young talent in the wide receiving room. So even though they're rated middle of the pack, by the end of the season, they could be rated much higher. And then pretty darn good running back room. Last but most certainly not least, and and we got to talk about this. Is Jordan Love the real deal? Because we do have to have that conversation. I think he's shown enough now, especially the tail end of last season, that he is the real deal. And he's doing it with a lot less talent than a guy like Brock Purdy is. So there's something to be said there in terms of where he ranks as a quarterback, where he kind of fits into this league. If he continues to progress as he has, then the Green Bay Packers are going to be something interesting, which is why I think the NFC North could be the most challenging division in all of football. But let's talk about the Lions. This is where, if you're a Vikings fan, you're kind of aware. The Lions are so good. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? In terms of, if you could split games with the Lions, that would be good for you. That would be good. Win one, lose one. That's not bad. I do think you're kind of playing for the wild card spot right out the gate, though, because the Lions have the number 1 ranked offensive line, the number 3 ranked running back room, the number 4 ranked defensive line, the number 7 ranked wide receiver core, and they are just outside of top 10 in the secondary. So offensive line, running back room, Okay, both stellar. High-paid quarterback. We'll see if he can continue. Nothing to suggest he couldn't. I mean, history might suggest that, but then what he's done with the Lions this last season, especially, would suggest maybe he can continue that way. I would lean toward that. But then on the defensive side of the ball, guys, I mean, their defense is stellar. They are up there with the top defense. Number 4 defensive line, number 7 wide receiving core. How'd that get thrown in there? Number 11 secondary. So you got to give them some credit there. Give them some credit for how good the Lions are going to be this season. None of these teams are standout best team in the league kind of talent. But the Lions are definitely closest in the conversation in terms of fighting for the NFC championship. So lots of interesting conversations there. Let me know in the comments what you think and how you see them ranking down. I'd like to see the Vikings in there. I'll be honest. I think this is maybe a hot take for some people. I think the Bears are going to be the worst in the division this season because I think the Vikings are going to be better than everybody anticipates. That's a hot take from my man Paul. I know if he's watching this video, he's already typing right now. And he's already like shutting that down. But I don't know. The Vikings are kind of a sleeper in this division. And I hope that you agree with me, Vikings fans out there. Let me know what you think. I look forward to seeing it in the comments. I'll join you there when the time is right. As always, get subs so you don't miss out on all of the action.